Hey, hello again. Well, I'm out for a little hike. I'm heading down this Forest Service road near the Green River Gorge. I've hiked around this area before, and I found a really beautiful spot on the Green River to paint. It's all good going downhill. To get there, it's going to be kind of a slog coming back. It's the wrong way to do things, I'll tell you that. If you can, get your uphill hike done first, and then at the end of the day, go back downhill to your rig. That's the way to do it, but it's not working out that way today. Beautiful through here. We've had a really hot, dry summer, and it's been hazy with wildfire smoke lately. I haven't really felt like getting outside as much. It's not pleasant when you're kind of breathing in that wildfire smoke. But it's relatively clear today, and it's not too hot for late summer. So I thought I'd get out of the studio and get a little hike in and get some plein air painting in. There's some salmon hatchery ponds down here at the bottom of the trail right beside the river. I don't know if they're still in use. It looks like they have water. Oh yeah, I see many little salmon in there. Thousands upon thousands of little fish. I should call those salmon fry. Looks like got some people doing some work, feeding the fry. I don't know if you can see it or not in the video, but the fish are jumping there where she fed them. Thousands upon thousands. Ducks on the water over there, enjoying the day. I don't blame them. It's a beautiful day, beautiful spot. What a beautiful place. a gorgeous view right across there. It's about a 20-minute walk from where I parked on the road down a gated Forest Service road. Lots of scenes to paint down here. Looking upriver, the light's going to be pretty consistent, and I do like that blue, sky blue reflection on the water. I've painted that effect before, it's fun. If I get closer to the river, I could also include more of this warm orange riverbed. That's really what drew me to this area in the first place, that sun on the warm riverbed. Looking this direction, that's gorgeous, the pool of water falling over that cascade, looking downstream, going into the deep shadows. That light should stay pretty consistent as well. And then here, looking downstream at this fork of the river, some beautiful boulders and that little copse of trees on that center island. I'm gonna walk around a little bit, have a cup of coffee, take a few pictures with my iPhone, and decide what I want to paint. As always, thanks so much for joining me. If you like these videos, please like and subscribe. Here's the scene I'm going to paint. I'm going to zoom in on that copse of trees on that little island in the middle of the river. I like how the trees are getting hit by the light against the cool, dark shadows, the bank behind. I'm not going to include any sky. I will include some of the foreground water. Probably zoom in just a little bit more, maybe include the top of this tree, but cut off the rest and just make it kind of a bank of fading, warm, green light. I don't think it's coming out well on the video, but those boulders have lots of beautiful shades, oranges and browns and blues. Also, the boulders in the shade in the river in the foreground have some beautiful color. They're pretty high value where they're in the light, and they're pretty dark in the shadow, so that'll be fun. The river's really calm, so that can just be a nice flat plain of green. I'm going to try to edit the boulder pattern in the river. I'm going to simplify that. I'm not going to include all those boulders. I think this boulder here has an interesting shape, so I may move it up a little, like to this position, and then just clean out the rest of the boulders, simplify it some. I may include some of that clump of green grass, keep it in the shade so it's a nice dark green compared to the lighter sunlit grass in the background. It's nice, the light's changing a little. All of that was in the sun when I first saw the scene, and now it's moving into some shadow, so that'll be fun. I can play with that as I go. I think the light's going to be pretty consistent through the day. It's getting to be late summer. The days are still long, but the sun is now staying lower on the horizon, which is giving a nice side lit effect. Too many scenes to choose from, but as usual, I took a look at some small images on my iPhone and just went with what really jumped out to me. And this scene of the trees on this little island in the middle of the river really jumped out as a nice composition. I'll be going with a 9x12 inch birch panel that I coated with acrylic gesso, 3 coats of acrylic gesso, and then 1 final top coat of alkyd, which gives it a oil primed like finish that I like. I saw a big beautiful bird of prey. It looked like maybe an osprey carrying a fish flying up the river a little while ago. I hope it comes back. I'd like to catch that on film. Alright, I'm going to get started. Turpentine wash, I'll be using this large old bristle brush. It's number 12 Utrecht. It's about 3/4 of an inch, maybe an inch wide. Got artist turpentine. Got a little bit of liquid in here I'll use later as I'm mixing the final colors. Ivory black, cold gray from Rembrandt, titanium white, cerulean blue, cobalt blue, ultramarine blue, sap green, transparent oxide brown, burnt sienna, alizarin crimson, cad red, cad yellow, Windsor lemon, gambling, radiant yellow, and yellow ochre. I'm not sure I'll use all these. I may just try to use ultramarine blue, sap green, transparent oxide brown, burnt sienna, alizarin crimson, and cad yellow, and Windsor lemon. I may try to use those colors predominantly and try not to introduce many more colors. I'm trying to experiment with limiting my palette more, but sometimes you need a certain color, like a cobalt blue. A little hint of cobalt blue sometimes in the shadow really works here in the Pacific Northwest. Today I'm just going to start with the turpentine wash and feel my way into a composition. I'm going to try to spend a little bit longer on the turpentine wash this time, so I won't bother doing an initial sketch. And I want the turpentine wash to set up just a little bit more than normal, if I can. Make it a little bit darker, a little bit thicker, especially that dark background of the hill. If I can just lay in the turpentine wash and then leave it alone and not paint over that, except for maybe some of the lighter greens in that background hill, that would be ideal. In the scene, a lot of browns and greens, of course, but there's also some nice blues in the boulders. So I think for the background behind the trees, that background hill of trees, I'll go with a transparent oxide brown wash initially, and then work some greens into that, some sap green into that, and maybe go back and forth a little bit to develop an abstract pattern that's dark and interesting. I may draw in a tree trunk with a clean brush with a little bit of turpentine on it to draw in some trunks. For the foreground trees, that's going to be a nice cad yellow, and then maybe add some Windsor lemon yellow to bring up the value and to bring the color closer to yellow. For the foreground, river, this pool of water, burnt sienna, lots of warm brown under the light reflected on the water. And then also you can see how the boulder is reflecting light on the water, so I'll maybe draw that in as well with a brush. got a few colors mixed up here. A little dark green, dark brown, dark red. A little lighter shade with some blue, and yet lighter, more white added. Still on the blue side because everything's in the background. I'm just going to go into that transparent wash now with those colors and try to suggest that background hill as abstractly, as loosely as I can. Use this Rosemary Series 279. It's natural hair, really soft, kind of wild. It does abstract, rough, brushy work really well. Got some clouds rolling in now. A little thicker haze, high level haze. That's really going to change the light. So just want to try to get down from memory and from what I see in front of me, what I saw earlier. Stay consistent with the scene when I arrived. Okay, now I'll start to mix up some colors for the trees on that little island. Lots of warm cad yellow greens, a little bit of burnt sienna in the dry moss on the logs, and then some blue shadows. Warm light blue, cool shadows today. There's some fire smoke haze in the air, giving everything kind of a warm cast. The shadows are reflecting the blue of the sky. A few more colors mixed up now. I've got these greens, a light yellow, mid-tone, cooler yellow, and then a cool green for the trees on the island. Then I've got a little bit of grayed out yellow for the moss where it's in the sun, and then I'll use straight burnt sienna for the moss as it goes into shadow, and just mix that with a little bit of the transparent oxide brown. Then I've got some lavenders, a dark shadow lavender for the rock, and then some lighter colors where the rock is transitioning into the sun, including a yellow, a grayed out yellow that I mixed from this other yellow. I just added more white. And then I've got some greenish yellows for the water. The water gets more warm, more toward orange as it moves closer, as it moves further away. It gets grayed out and greenish, and then it's also reflecting rocks and reflecting the sky. I may leave those sky reflections until the very end, or may or may not put them in. The light's changing pretty quickly now, so I just want to get the rest of the composition down, and I can add some of the fine details back in the studio. Staying with this soft Series 279 for the tree, the leaves. I'll start with the lightest value, map that in first, and then I'll cut into that with the shadow colors. is where the painting ended up. I'm pretty happy with it. I liked going thicker and putting more detail, putting more effort into that initial wash. That was fun. It made the top layers, the final layers of paint, go much quicker as well. Light changed a lot while I was here, which is always the case outdoors. It changed more than I thought it would. I got thrown into sunlight a lot faster than I expected, and the shadows were pretty much obliterated within the first half hour. But that's what happens. I didn't really want to move back into the shade. It would be a different vantage point, and I thought I could knock this smaller painting out pretty quick. Well, I'll take it back to my studio and take another look at it, see if it needs any tuning up before I throw it out on my website. I'd appreciate it if you'd take a look at my website and sign up for my newsletter. I'd also appreciate it if you would like and subscribe and hit the little bell to be notified when I put out a new video. As always, thanks for joining me. I'll see you in the next one. Alright, now it's time for the slog back up the hill. If you'd like to support the channel, please visit my website. I sell these little plein air pieces at a reasonable price because I consider them practice. It really makes me happy when someone likes my art enough that they want to hang it in their home. You can also sign up for my newsletter and stay up to date on my new work and shows and get a discount on original art and prints.